Hey, it's Chris, crowdfunding roundup. You ready? Let's do this because there hasn't been enough exciting news already this week with the $3,000 Lord of the Rings game or Zombicide being sold from Simon. Yeah, we'll go into more depth about both of those as well in case you missed the individual videos and the news video. Hopefully that'll come out later this weekend. But you're not here for that, are you? Well, we can still talk about that if you really want. No, sidetrack. Squirrel, stay on topic, Chris. Stay on topic. You fool. I should be a court jester, if nothing else. Let's go. Crowdfunding, roundup, new games from this past week. Let's freaking do this. I covered this months and months ago when it was first announced by Roxley. Excalibur! Many freaking trembly. And I said, you know what? This looks quaint. This gives me Oriflamme vibes. I think I might like this. Holy hell hype Batman. This is potentially going to be one of my favorites of the month. I'll tell you right now, folks. I have a type, and this is it. So I'm going into this a little bit biased after looking at it, reading through the rules, and just trying to decide whether or not I need the deluxe edition or not. Excalibur. A lighthearted game of tomfoolery, scumbaggery, and hilarious backstabbery. Sounds like actual terms that I would use on the channel because I make up my own words all the time. 2 to 8 players. It's more like Oriflamme meets a chip-driven Chaosmos, if you will. Because what I mean by that is there's going to be one of these little tokens that is going to be sitting out on the playfield right here, and you just want to be the one that ends up with it at the end of the game. But you're going to be doing a take that calamity-based ability, asymmetric bag table drawing, tile playing situation by doing a whole hell of a lot of take that, because you just gather 4 chips from the middle here with their asymmetric abilities, select 1 chip, and just play them to find the Excalibur and to have it in your hand at the end. And the final round happens when one of those areas that we saw up here is empty. So you just rinse, repeat, go along. And yeah, Clayshire Castle is a real thing in Indiana. They got a whole bunch of these content creators to dress up because they have a whole bunch of costumes that you can do there, like Ren Fair style, if you will. So Roxley, if you're ever looking for people, I'm probably on their do not call list. But if you're looking for more people next time, Roxley, oh man, I'm a little jealous. Hashtag me. Anyway, in a nutshell, Excalibur, the deluxe edition, the collector's edition. This is just like Radlands, if you will. It'll be a perfectly fine, completely usable Radlands-esque retail version that will come out for probably $25 in the near future. But if you want to wholly blingify this mother effing game out, you can totally do it, because not only can you get the awesome wooden components, which I am a huge fan of, you know me on this channel if you know me, metal swords. Tiny little freaking metal swords, not metal coins. Completely superfluous, design unnecessarily cool metal swords. Which reminds me of a couple years ago, like 2 years ago, when Chip Theory Games sent out those swords to people as well. Man, I am always getting the short sword. Anyway, sorry, I could not resist that one for the dad pun. But look at how cool these things look. Look at how cool these look. Yeah, and those chips look freaking cool. They give me more of a Dice Throne, aesthetic, but who cares? I'm a big fan of Dice Throne in the first place. And I think it's just kind of cool. I think this game is, mechanically speaking, game group for me, as well as familial facing awesomeness. So this game is now rocketing up my wish list. I just filmed a wish list video like a week prior to this, and I may just go back at this point and edit this one in. So if you see it in that video after this comes out, it's because I did that, or it's because it should be on that list, right? Like, everybody was there. I wasn't kidding, right? Danny Stranding was there. They got the Man versus Meeples, the Grants, and Bazinganator. I don't know who Jason is, but he's also, doing cool stuff because I really like that bear outfit. Anyway, funding quests, they're just giving us a little bit of deluxification here, it looks like, so far. But I'm really, really intrigued, and I'll be frank with you guys. I am really going to have to stop myself from getting the superfied, deluxified, over-the-top metal sword coinage edition for this one. I hate saying that, but I am totally being suckered in by this one. Q2 of 2026 for retail, and Q2 of 2026 for everything else too. Meh, okay. Roxley, just when I think I'm out, you've got me back in. There you go, Excalibur. Role player adventures. I know, and I'm a little surprised this one doesn't have more money. And it's probably because you need to be a continuation of the previous role player, which I will say right now, I guess as a side tangent here, $15 and $35,000 total, that's actually really good. $35,000 total is a lot less than I would have expected though, and that's really what I was saying. Because you have to be still into role player. I am not going to get a quote on this page from role player from Thunderworks, but I have said since I reviewed Thunderworks' best game, I will say, Role Player Adventures is the game that I recommend for people looking to get into a campaign game style of things. I say mechanically, I say thematically, and I say ease of access. This is the one to go for. It's giving you more based off of the previous. It has the pre-generated. It has the pullovers. You can just get the pre-generated. You can just get the digital. I think that this is fantastic that they're continuing to support this. Is it something that I'm probably going to end up with? Probably not, to be truthfully frank with you guys. Oh, $25 for physical. So it's a little bit of a mislead up there, but at the same time, you don't really need a physical with this one. If you've got the base game, just give me the straight up PDF adventure and I'd be cool with that as well. So name a hero pledge, name it after me. I'm not cool enough to get my promo into any game yet, but we'll talk about designers in their own games here in a second. Silver Threads of Fate character pack, not available in distribution, and it's a small business. So again, this is the one where I say this is a really, really good game, and just whether or not you need more of it. And what I was going to say a minute ago was that I give kudos for not making this a standalone like a lot of other stuff does nowadays that says, you can buy all this stuff, repeat over, and just get a little bit of new content and make you FOMO of not having it out. Yeah, you want more? You want the other stuff that's based off the previous stuff that we love and that you love? Get it. If you don't, we're not going to try and get you with a new standalone either. So I like it. Then we're talking Stefan Feld collection. And speaking of Feldian, there are actually Stefan Feld meeples in this game. Truth be told though, I really think screen printed meeples with people on them are kind of ugly. I kind of regret my copy of Hamburg as well as Castles by the Sea in that way because I think they look kind of stupid. I just think they look stupid. I'm sorry. But in case you were worried that 11 and 12 here in the form of Manila and Beijing are going to be the final city collection games, don't fear. They already have 13 and 14, it appears, planned out there. So you don't need to worry one bit whatsoever, your pretty little head of hair that I don't have. So Manila here actually seems like it's got a cool mechanism. You play over 3 rounds, 7 turns in each of these rounds as you spread your ports, move your ships, gather your resources, but also worry about the hurricanes and have enough sandbags to deal with the damage and the attack that comes with that as an event-based game as it goes along. You drop these cubes in the tower, and the cubes that fall out the majority side are the actions you can take on that round. The cubes that fall out on the other side are the ones that get punted to the next round. And so I really kind of like that mechanic that you have going on. You can increase your action points by spending coins and then performing, I think, one of the 7 or so actions that are available to you, like I mentioned, the ship movement, establishing your trade posts, cultivating the fields as you're going along, building factories, score multipliers, and gaining coins, and then those previously mentioned sandbags, catch your fish, get your resources, trade them as you go, and get more unique abilities. So there's the Typhoon protection that I mentioned. And then we talk about the deluxeifications and the, sleeves and the slight upgrades and all of that stuff right there, right? The Manila figures. Anyway, so Beijing, though, at the same time as number 12, gives us a little bit of a different dynamic as you're prosperity driving the streets and the buildings as you're going along in sort of a 3-phase system that they've got set up here as this strategy game of scholars, monks, warriors, craftsmen, all going along and dealing with events that pop up. Because what you're doing in this action different selection is not cube dropping. You're having the 7 different actions in this game that are laid out into piles based on the number of people, and you go through and you put your marker down and you choose one of the actions within that pile. No, don't worry, you can actually pay to go to someone else's same spot and take whether it's the same action or a different action there as well. And then you move on to the person phase of things, where each player plays an individual person card from their hand, takes the tile from the board and places it on their streets, and then you get to move your markers forward to gain values based on those. Consequently, the last element of things are the events that are dictated over this 12-round situation, where you have, based on the 12 months of the year, events that are going to be happening as you go along, starting in the 3rd month, because in the first 2 months, they let you just have a little bit of peace, literally and metaphorically speaking. Score, rinse and repeat, do it 12 times. There you go. Again, you get all the usual upgrades. You can get some of their back catalog here too. What was the price point for each of these though? $90 and $120. That's expensive pasta meatball, as they say. And I'll leave it at that. And what do they say about tariffs? I'm curious. I didn't really read this. And we're gonna see where it goes, but you won't get hit with any extra costs. Okay. Them's words to live by. Then Assyria, 2nd edition. And this does appear to be a 2nd edition. You know, when they did the ships of the sea, whatever one it was, Redux, it was kind of like, okay, well, we're going to use the name, but we're not going to actually make it the same mechanism. So this is Assyria. This is constructing ziggurnauts competitively, preparing for floods, and dealing with the floods that are going to wipe out properties next to the rivers at the ends of rounds 3 and 6 in order to score the most points at the end of the game. Look at this, though. Note on tariffs, manufactured in Vietnam. So they're not going to pass on any costs beyond what you pledge here, even if old Orangey decides to go crazy again on countries not named China as well. And you're getting a couple promo boards. So they give you 2 main promos to go along with this one. So as they always say, get it from us if you want, get it at retail later if you want to. We're cool, you're cool. All cool, right? And so the rule book is on here. It's about 32 pages, and it gives you the starting bidding aspects of things that you're going to be having pervasively spread throughout the game. Now you know, if you're a long-time subscriber to the channel, me and Garfield, they're a little bit heavier for me, so I'm just going to give you the bare bones synopsis of this. As you're playing some of these food cards, you're growing as you're going along, and you flip over a card at the beginning of the growth phase that tells you how many buildings you can essentially take. Then you do the bidding just like you did at the opening of the game, which then leads into the expansion phase of things, where you're going through consequently with the 3 cards that you've acquired previously now in this round and taking the 6 subsequent actions that you can see listed here. Then skipping over all of this, you get down to the action phase, where they run you through again 11 different options that you may decide to do, giving you victory points by, what are you spending? You're spending camels, man. Spending camels. I'll trade you a camel for a plow. Not quite a wood for a sheep there, but you know what I'm saying. Build more ziggurnauts, get them higher, make offerings, gain, get. So yeah, there you go. That's Assyria. And if you love Garfield, I think this is something different than a lot of their other ones in that sense. And so this one actually appeals to me a little bit more. But I think reading this rule book, I definitely still suggest watching one of those gameplay videos to get a better sense of the flow, because it's a little heavier for me, so I can't necessarily express it in the words I'd like. But it's different enough that maybe I'll ask them to call me on this one, because we've kind of agreed in the past that maybe their games aren't quite totally right for me, but I'm going to give this one a little bit of a closer look, especially when it gets to the time being delivered. So there you go, Assyria. Game Toppers is back, $75,000. If you want Game Toppers, mats, and everything else accessory-wise for a game table, they're going to give it to you. And they're doing wave shipping, apparently, as well. So take that for what you will, but it's just a ton of toppers for board game tables, for regular tables, for anything else in between. I love the idea of this. I would absolutely love this, but I also go, oh, where am I going to put this if we're not actually having it on the table at the time that we would use it, right? Cool as these look, because I do like the looks of some of these, but it's a ton of money too. So Game Toppers, if you want to sponsor my channel, that'd be freaking sweet. Otherwise, right? I really do like the deep blue. I like a little bit of some of the red there as well, or even the green. Just solid colors with a little bit of theme there really works for me. Ooh, Starfield's pretty, and so is water. So there's just a ton of stuff, and they have a bunch of extras that you can add on and get with it as well to accoutrement anything, everything as well. And tons of other people have already talked about their product and given endorsements. So there's plenty of known, and they wouldn't get $75,000 having done 7 total campaigns. So 75 grand. Give it a look if you're interested in blinging out your table. Next up, Dare the Unknown gives some gravel vibes. As you can see the board here, essentially you're just traversing these spaces, playing cards that are going to maneuver you a certain number of spaces with several different special abilities, including manipulation of not only your pieces, but other people's pieces. It's got a little bit of a sorry vibe as well, only instead of just drawing the top card off of the deck, you have 5 cards in your hand on a turn-by-turn basis, because if you land on a space that's already occupied by a previous ship, then it gets knocked off, even if it's your own, and it's not going to be exactly straightforward in how you're navigating. There are going to be spaces that'll allow you to be safe, or that allow you to jump different ways, and so just maneuvering that way with cards is how you're going to be doing this. And the first one to get all, I believe, 4 of their ships back in their end zone wins. That's it, right? You get some wooden pieces, you get a little deluxification. If you want deluxe, standard, explorers, pioneers, twin modules, commanders, the ultimate loadout, the collection, your game into space. Limited edition of this. Get your game sent in with a high altitude balloon. 10,000 euros. We were just talking about the $3,000 Lord of the Rings confrontation the other day, but if you want to spend 10,000 euros, holy F-balls, Batman. I mean, it's straightforward, it's light, but you see what you get, and that's Dare the Unknown. People are liking it. Next up, clever combo Fintastic Sea here as a card-driven combo-rific game. You basically have these 2 coral reef cards in the middle, and you can lay cards up to 3 spaces away in any direction on your turn in a 2-phase system where you have, again, a hand of fish cards that you're going to be playing that is just going to be able to eat up other smaller numbered fish. But they're going to have essentially 2 abilities, your play ability and then your actual ability that's going to determine how well you can combo. And so you're going to be able to utilize these, gather these fish in sort of an eating, gathering, Pac-Man, whatever style combo-rific that you want to. And then you get one of 2 options in order to then use these cards later. You can go in your reserve, because you can play reserve cards, which are going to potentially have stronger powers than the ocean abilities of when you play the cards in the first place, or you can set collect them, because you're also going to have 2 cards set along the side of this board at the beginning of the game that are going to determine your set collection, scoring victory points at the end. So victory points or more abilities to set up combos to get more cards later. You play this over 8 rounds, and then in between rounds, you can see here, this direction, the current card here, is going to determine as these holes become apparent as you put your cards down orthogonally and eat up the ones around it, you're going to have gaps. And then this card of determining what direction these gaps get filled, and you slide cards that way to change the board dynamic as you're going along. 2 to 4 players, under an hour, card-driven, quirky, puzzle-ish type set collection game. You want to get it? 18 euros. That's all it is, right? So there you go. Why back it now? Okay, you get it before anyone else. You get a slightly lower price potentially. A little bit of preview here, and the how to play basically gives you all the information that you're going to need. So that's it. It's funded. Fintastic Sea, 2,000 euros. Give it a look-see. Plakks Basketball. You bounce it off the little board in front of you. You try and score in the hoop. When you score in the hoop, you put one of your players down. It blocks the other person's ability to nicely bank it off that part of the floor. First one to get all 5 of theirs down wins. It's actually not nearly as expensive as I thought it was going to be. It's only 26 bucks if you want just the regular version, early bird version. So that's it. That's all you need to really know. You just see the setup right here. You shake hands, because everybody shakes hands before they play board games. I'm going to start doing that on my local game night. Pause, guys. We can't start the game until everybody shakes hands, right? That would be awkward. Anyway, start doing that with my wife, too. Let's shake hands, honey. Anyway, I'm getting distracted here, but that's what you're doing. Oh, look, they shake afterwards, too. Okay. Portable, easy to assemble, and they've put out a bunch of other sports-driven games, as you can see here, with previous people. So what you see is what you get. 14 grand. Give it a look. Now, I was going to talk about Weretigers, but in between the time of me pulling it up, filming this, and then airing it for you guys, it canceled because they decided after 2 or 3 days that $8,000 was easily going to probably end up funding. But they also say it wasn't, again, a true funding goal. But it's weird because they're defending the fact that they're saying $10,000. Look, I don't care, right? They're saying, you know, we lost a bunch of money on the previous game, and, you know, it's not actually going to be enough to get us out of debt in terms of all of the costs, right? They say, well, $10,000 is all we need to actually make this game, but we want to make enough money to get out of debt from the previous game and make a bunch of profit on this game. So we actually need a ton more, and we don't actually think we're going to hit that. Well, that's what your funding goal should be. It shouldn't be just what you think it's going to make the game, right? This is an artificially low one that you just don't want to say it was artificially low, because you also don't want to put the higher number out there to scare people off. Look, I understand it. It's a game, but just admit to playing the game. That's okay. It's a tower defense, under 45-minute style, dice placement ability activating, stand off and defend against the Weretigers. I want to see it come back. I like the light style of the co-op tower defense. We don't have a ton of those games. I like the dice placement activation of the worker abilities, but you know what? It is what it is. Let's see what you do when you come back around. And we're ending with even more indie games. Amsterdam Board Game Design Contest Season 2, 3 games here. We have Goblin, Laundromat, L'Oaf, and Medievallons. So Valions, whatever you want to call it, right? I'll mispronounce it either way. So all 3 uniquely different in how they're going to be approaching this. Goblin Laundromat, essentially what you do is you have a bunch of cards, you place them under the load cycles of the 1, 2, 3, and 4 that are dealt around, and then you go around and you reveal them as you gather them back up, and depending on how you want to press your luck, you may have stains, you may have color matchings, and you need to clean them. Cleaning them scores you points, but if you press too long, you get too many stains, you don't score. That is the gameplay in a nutshell. To be frank with you, of the 3 of these, this is actually the least of my favorite, but it still looks like a little bit of a clever press your luck style things. L'Oaf here actually looks like the type of game that I would actually really love playing with my kids, but also my family and even game group, because what you're essentially doing here is you have a flipped over card at the beginning of every round. It tells you what you need to have success-wise numbers when everyone plays their cards individually. And so then you take the cards that you have total and everybody plays one down, and you flip them all up simultaneously and reveal. If you have the number that's necessary, then success happens, and the person who played the highest number gets to move spaces forward on this reputation board. However, if it fails, then the person who put the lowest number moves backwards on the reputation track. Once you get to either 5 successes or 5 fails, then the game end happens. If it's 5 fails, same win condition, but if you're under 0, you're considered fired and you don't even qualify for scoring. So it gives me a little bit of a courtesan's, you can absolutely go positive or you can absolutely go take that negative. And then the other way that you score points on is actually the cards that you have left in your hand. Yeah, a little nice twist there. I really kind of like it. Last one up here is Medievallons. And this game, again, is a nice little random card-based situation. You have 6 cards in your hand, and you're going to be utilizing them for the powers that you have available to you. So on your turn, you potentially play one of these cards down to your tableau. If you have 3 or more, you can play a guild. A guild gives you individual special powers that will allow you to manipulate the card play even further, and allowing you to take cards from discard pile, take cards from other people's areas. A lot of a lot of interaction style basis. If you get a gin rummy style set of at least 3 of these guilds down, of 3 different cards of the same color, then you win. A little bit of pressure luck, a little bit of take that, and just, again, you can see all the abilities here that you're going to be utilizing, and I like what it's offering. Now you can extend your guild too. You can, make them matching, and there's no limit to what's being able to put out there. So again, kind of cool there. Get some extra promos, and totally indie. You've probably never heard of any of these games. You probably didn't even know about Amsterdam Board Game Design Season 1, just like me, but now it's on your radar. So that's why we do this. INKtentions, the card game as well, 200% funded. Let's talk about this sneaky octopus survival game, because very similar vibes, a little bit of Fintastic Sea meets the Amsterdam board game design there as a whole, because what you're doing essentially is you are laying out these cards as you go along, and there's going to be interaction based on how you play, because you're going to have a set of these cards that are going to go sharks, hide and hunt, food, Hocked ability, punch ability cards, and you're going to be doing take that as you simultaneously reveal them. And then if you are successful in your hunting of these fish, you're going to set collect in order to win the game as the feeding piles slowly winnow down. The game ends when a feeding pile is out. You subsequently score based on how many you've collected. Then if we go down to the expansion here, they give you a couple other different cards that you can use in terms of, well, manipulation of units as well as food safely next to you. So there you go. Got a nice little cool vibe, a little bit of combination of both those types of games we were just talking about, and it's funded. Let's give it a look. And plus, these plushies actually look freaking sweet. I could really use another octopus plushie. I would be in it just for the plushie right now, but that's just me. Peace out. Then Red Dog Junction, $51,000 as a worker placement, pick up and deliver style game. Gives me vibes of actually Valley of the Vikings, that style of game, because the end victory condition for this is actually when you take all the gold and all the gold has been stored. So what you're going to be doing is upgrading, taking your 2 actions along the way as you're going along in the worker placement style of things to gather your resources, move your ship across the galaxy, as well as bring the gold to where you want it to be. The problem with that gold is that you're going to have to choose exactly when and where within this game time frame you're going to take those actions Junctions in order to actually outmaneuver and outplay your opponents. Because at the same time, you're going to be upgrading your ship, hiring more officers, getting more powerful boosts that are all going to make the resource management and the timing of this, as they say here, very, very criticals. Move, mine, exchange resources, get your deals, get your boosts, everything you need to see there. 2 other modes that are going to be offered, including solo, more aggressive, faster play as well. I like that. Now, I'm not a big pick up and deliver person, but I'm a little bit intrigued by this one as someone who usually doesn't get intrigued by this. The only question is whether or not the retail version is going to be something for you to actually consider, or if you're going to have to get the one with the mini expansions and the deluxeifications, including the metal cubes, to make it worth your while. So if you want to bling it out, you can. 50 grand. They're funded. Doing well. Give it a look. That's it. That's the roundup. Huge news video, either Sunday or Monday, depending on how lazy I'm feeling and whether or not I film after this or whether or not I decide to edit, because editing has been really tough lately. I have not been wanting to do stuff, and I have a couple games that we need to talk about that are coming up to crowdfunding in the very near future. One of them being the Realm of Reckoning, the other being the upcoming Colosseum remake as well. I have a copy of that. And then the upcoming Grendel in addition from Off the Page. So I have a couple big titles that are coming out in the near future. Also, shout out the other one that's coming on my way as well is Sail Legacy. I'm going to be covering all 4 of those. So if any of those are intriguing, sub me if you're not subbed. Hit me up, doing a little shorts along with it, but that's all I got. Shorts, like video shorts, not like shorts I'm wearing right now, even though it's indoor and I'm actually wearing sweatpants. But that's all I got. Squirrel, peace out. See you later. Have a great freaking fantastic weekend.